Hello, everyone. Welcome back. First of all, thank you so much for bearing with us through all of our technical difficulties. I just know that that means that this is going to be an amazing conversation. For those of you who do not know me, I am Kristen R. Harris, and I am the host of The Author's Tea. I welcome you. And I'm super excited. I have a special guest with me today. But before I get into who she is and all her awesomeness, I want to remind those of you who already know, and for those of you who do not know, I want to explain to you what the author's tea is. The author's tea is simply where authors come to spill the tea on their books and things. And so I believe that I know some amazing female authors, some that I'm just now meeting, some I've been knowing for a really long time, and they have some amazing stories. And I think that you should know them, you should know their stories, and you should support them. And so that's why I created the Author's Tea. And so they come on down to the Author's Tea to spill the tea on their books and things. Hey, so I'm super excited today to have my special guest. We're going by your pen name, right? Angie D. Lee. I have Angie D. Lee with me, and she is the author of Discovering Lita. And we are going to get all into the juiciness of this book without giving you too much juice, because I definitely want you to go out and support her in just one moment. But Angie, I want you to tell me, because I don't even know you. This is our first time officially meeting, but to tell me and everyone who's watching a little bit about who you are.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much, Sister. Yes, it is a joy actually meeting you for the first time. Well, just a little bit about me. I always tell people how I kind of start that off, because it's such a broad question, right? And we always go through, what we do and things that we've achieved. But first and foremost, I just always feel that I am just a spiritual being having a human experience. That's really what it is. I'm just going through this whole thing called life, and I'm learning and I'm growing. And along the way, I just happen to become an author. but my background, my professional background started in social work, and I actually still practice social work as well. So I've worked a lot with people, every age from pre-K to adulthood. So that's my professional background. And then also, I used to own a business called Makeup and Martinis. So I was also a makeup artist. And it was a team of us. We were makeup artists, hairstylists, nail techs, massage therapists. And we went out on location and we provided beauty and wellness services to clients. So I did that for about 5 years. And then I literally woke up one day like, I want to write. So I've always loved reading. I am an avid reader. And I've always loved writing. I've just never shared it in this space like this as a published author. So this is my first go around, and I'm looking to do it a very long time. So I'm just so happy that it's been received the way it's been received, such positive feedback, and a lot of people just really related to the story. So that makes me feel really good.
Absolutely. So I heard you say you used to be in the beauty space, which I can totally see, because you are absolutely gorgeous. May I add? You're welcome. And to hear that, you never really publicly shared your writing, but to read Discovering Lita, like you just jumped all the way out there. Like you didn't even try to wade in the water. You went way to the deep end. So, tell me, before we get into like what the book is about and everything, like tell me how that experience was for you, just kind of taking that leap.
Yeah. Well, I will have to say this, because I know that now that I've self-published the book, I do get a lot of people asking me questions about just the whole process, how did you go through it, step by step, which I am so open to talking about. So I always make myself available to that. But as far as just the writing process, because I've always enjoyed reading and writing, I can honestly say that wasn't really too hard. I was actually kind of surprised at how easy I did jump in, but I've noticed something about myself over the years, just learning myself. I have noticed that when I am ready to do something, I go like wow. Full throttle. And it's like, in order for me to stay accountable, I told people I was going to write the book. I knew if I kept it quiet, I could kind of make excuses to like not write as much and not do this. But what works best for me is when I put it out there. So some people are like, I don't think I'm going to share this, and because people are watching your every move, and when you share this, then it's gonna go wrong. But see, I'm the opposite. Like for me, I need to put it out there because, like I said, it keeps me accountable.
Yeah.
So with Discovering Lita, it was just one of those things where I'm an adult, and I've lived some life, not old, but I've had experiences, and I've met a lot of women that have had experiences, and a lot of them have had similar experiences. And I just feel like, because I love to read so much, especially women's fiction, I just felt like there was almost, I won't say a shortage, but I didn't really see us represented in a multifaceted way. So a lot of times when I would read women's fiction, it was kind of like this typical plot, and you kind of knew what was going to happen at the end. But women, we're just multifaceted. Like I said, we have all these different things that we love to do, and sometimes we're contradictory, sometimes we're emotional, sometimes we're just here trying to figure it out, and it's not always pretty and tied together in a cute little bow. And so I wanted to write a book like that. I wanted something that when you read it, you was like, oh my God.
Oh yeah.
So, and that's really what kind of got me going, because I knew that story would resonate so much with people that I was like, oh no, I gotta write this. There's no way I can sit on this one. So yeah, so I really just kind of planned it out. I started out writing maybe like twice a week. I would write like 5 pages twice a week. And then from there, I would add a day, just continuously add a day. And it got to a point where I added enough days where I was writing literally every single day, 5, sometimes 10 pages a day, just to make sure that I kept that engine going. And, it's amazing. Once you start a habit, and if you're really dedicated to what you're doing, you'll make it work. You will
absolutely. Yeah, I teach that to the students who come through my Scribe tribe when they want to write books. I'm like, listen, if you start off just spending 30 minutes a day writing, when you look up, you would have spent an hour and a half, and before you know it, what you thought was huge has just shrunk, and you're almost at your goal. So I appreciate you for sharing that. And let me tell you, so I love the cover of this book.
Thank you.
I actually was reading it. I work a part-time job, and so I was at work today, and I was reading the book, and this guy I work with, he said, oh, what are you reading? This white guy. And I'm like, Discovering Lita. I was proud to show, like, look, she looks just like me.
Exactly.
So I appreciated this cover. So I want to get right into Discovering Lita. Give us, first of all, I want to know, what is the inspiration behind the title? Like, I know Lita is the main character, but why Discovering Lita?
Yeah. Well, the book Discovering Lita, well, Lita obviously in the book is in her early 30s. And I'm finding a common theme, not just with myself, but with other women, especially in modern society. Women are actually almost discovering or rediscovering themselves around this time. And it's funny because even just 20 years ago, women weren't as relaxed about, this is what I like, this is what I enjoy, or I want to pursue this, I want this to be a part of my life. And I felt like that's the character in there really kind of sums it up, because she's discovering different aspects of herself in terms of her marriage, motherhood, her friendship. There's a very vital piece in that storyline between her and her best friend, Val, in the book. And so it's all these different layers. And then she has this other dynamic with her sister in the book. And then there's a dynamic between her and her parents, which is a very, that topic and the way that storyline. Yeah, it is, And I really wanted to show that, because, again, sometimes in books, we just have this one like lane that we kind of stay in. But there's so many parts of her, and all of that actually affects a lot of her decision making, once you really get into the story. So that's really why the title came about, like, as far as the discovering piece. A lot of people ask me, like, well, who's Lita, though? Like, what made you come up with that name? I cannot honestly say. I think it just came from, like, how, like, sometimes you're on Instagram and, you just see people's pictures. I happened to come across a name that said Lita. And I was like, that's it. That's her name. So that's how that all came about. So she's definitely discovering herself in that book.
Wow.
Yeah.
So the story opens up and Lita is being flattered
Yes.
by the meeting of another man. So Lita is married. Well, I'll give that much to you guys who are watching. So Lita's married and she's being flattered by the attention of another man.
Yeah.
And I think as I was reading it, it sparked something because we're like right in the wake of this whole Ayesha Curry controversy.
Yes.
Yeah, I was like, oh, this is perfect, right? And so it was like I felt like, you know, in that moment, Lita, although, you know, she's secure at home, she has an amazing husband, she has this family, but getting the attention of this man like really boosted her self-confidence in that moment. So like, what were your thoughts on that whole situation with Ayesha? Because I'm sure when you saw it, like, you kind of took you to your book.
Yes. That's funny you say that because I seriously did a post about that, and I usually don't.
Really?
Yeah, not really into too much into the celebrity lifestyle. I mean, I kind of stay abreast just to be aware, especially in conversation, talking to people. But I usually don't really offer, you know, my 2 cents about that. But yes, it was just such an alignment I felt, and I was like, oh, this is perfect, you know. And yeah, my overall thoughts about it. I understand Ayesha's standpoint as a human being. That I do. And I feel that when you genuinely have a heart and you empathize on a regular basis, so that's like just how my brain works. So I can't turn off empathy. That automatically I put myself in her space. You know, I put myself in her shoes. I heard everything she said in the whole video because it wasn't just that clip. It was
they took that sound bite out, and I'm like, well, did you watch the whole thing?
We said a lot of stuff. I mean, she talked about being a mom of 3 kids, young kids. She talked about experiencing postpartum. She talked about her anxiety, that she's taking medication. She has a lot going on, at least from what we, you know, saw from that video. And from there, I can kind of empathize where when you have so much going on, you're trying to pull from certain areas just to get that extra boost. Whereas a lot of people may have looked at it like, what are you upset about? You have this, you have that. And people fail to realize that money doesn't complete you. Even a strong marriage doesn't complete you. A big house, the cars, even friendships, all of that doesn't complete you. It's a nice compliment to who you already are. But for that situation, I felt like with Ayesha, there's something possibly a little deeper that a lot of us have experienced when you're growing and you're maturing and you're still kind of exploring and discovering. And I think for her, that's something that she pulled from. It's like, that was the light bulb that went out for her. Like, man, he's getting all this attention. I wonder what it would be like if I was, you know, not to say it would change anything, because she could get the attention and may find that it's not what she's really seeking, but it's something there. And that's kind of how I looked at that one. And, you know, like I said, again, people just need to realize, women and men, women are just, we're intricate creatures. It is, I don't say that in a bad way. We just have so many different, you know, levels to us and so many different sides to us. I mean, even my husband has probably married, I don't know how many Angies since we've been married.
Okay, girl, because I lost count a long time ago. I'm like, he's like, who am I getting today? You know, I don't know. Okay, we'll find out together.
Right. You know, so, and I, you know, and this is no slight on anyone. I think for those that are married or have been married for quite some time, they kind of were able to kind of, you know, see where Ayesha was going, at least have a little bit more understanding. If you're single, it doesn't mean that you can't understand that. It's just that the way your brain is processing things on a regular basis, it doesn't always necessarily involve a committed partner. So your mind is not usually working like that. But for those that are in committed relationships, they could probably see, you know, where she was coming from. So absolutely, that's a right or wrong thing to what Ayesha said. I think it was just her true feelings, and I always respect and honor people's true feelings.
Absolutely.
You know, and everyone has their way of dealing with it, whether they want to talk about it, you know, up front or not in private. But I asked my 12-year-old daughter about that because I was just so curious, but she's so like removed from that world. That's not, you know, she's not thinking about some 30-plus-year-olds, you know, but I asked her about that. And she said she didn't see anything wrong with her saying it outright because she was like, "Isn't that what the show is about? Like Red Table Talk?"
Put it on the table, right?
Like common sense, like so that's funny when you talk to children because they'll give it to you real, and they'll just say, right. So yeah, so that's how I felt about that. I don't see anything wrong with how she felt. It was her true feelings. It needed to get out, and hopefully it makes them stronger, and she may get some unwanted attention too. That comes with the territory when you put yourself out there. But for some reason, I think she was well aware of that. They didn't find out that day that they were going to be on Red Table Talk. Yeah. So I think she was aware, and it's not the end of the world, people. Women need love. They need a little attention.
We absolutely do. And I think that was the part that I empathize the most with. Like, I mean, I want somebody to tell me I look good. I mean, it just is what it is. And I don't make any apologies for that, Yeah. So I appreciated her for standing in her truth.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, so back to Lita, who is needing her attention. I think to the naked eye, Lita in this book, like I said, she has everything that most women and the women in her life tell her this. Her sister makes sure she tells her that, honey, you got it made. Yeah. Her best friend Val tells her the same thing. But at the same time, it's like Lita feels like she's missing something. She has these dreams that are unfulfilled because she has constantly put other people in front of what she wanted to do. And I'm pretty sure when you say that women can relate to that so many people are able to even grab onto that part of the story. So what do you say to that woman who to everyone else is like, girl, you got it going on. Why are you complaining? When she's like dealing with this internal struggle.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I can't even say that I have a very clear-cut answer about that one, but I would definitely say for that woman that's feeling that way, you've got to kind of like get into a space where you care about those people, you love those people, but their opinions and what they think cannot be a priority. And I know that's easier said than done. You literally have to practice that. So like I said, I'm a social worker and I've worked in schools for quite some time. And one thing that I teach a lot of the students is positive self-talk, because situations like that, when someone is telling you, you should be happy, you shouldn't, say this or complain about that, it does something to you as a person. It feels like your voice is not heard. And that can kind of stomp on your confidence a little bit. So that's why it's so important to literally talk yourself through things. When someone says something that makes you feel almost like belittled or like, I shouldn't feel this way, you have to remember that person is coming from that space. That's where they're at. I'm not saying it's wrong, but I don't agree with it. And it's okay for me not to agree with it. But for right now, maybe what I'll do is I'm not going to share that type of information with that person. But I do need to find and connect with people that are very genuine, even if they don't understand my space, but they're empathetic. And until you get there, you may have to write it down, and it could be a lonely space at times where you're just like, I'm writing these thoughts down, but I really need to get this out. If you can afford a therapist, please hire one, But in the meantime, definitely walk yourself through it and do positive self-talk. I do positive self-talk a lot, because I come in contact with so many people that I don't always mesh with. I don't vibe with. But a lot of people wouldn't know that because I choose not to make that like my identity. Like I'm arguing with you all the time. I want to prove myself to you. I do not have to do that. You are entitled to how you feel. But I'm one of those people, if I don't want to hear your opinion today, I probably will not share something with you today. And like I said, that's easier said than done. That takes practice. But I would definitely say that for women that are like, I just feel like something is missing, you really have to kind of take some inventory of your life and really get to the root of it. And sometimes it's kind of blocking out, the people that have a different view. And you need to kind of find the things that truly make you happy. And it's like, well, how do you do that? You got to just go out there and do it. Like one day you may have to try some painting. Okay, that wasn't quite my thing. No problem. You may have to try, singing. I want to take voice lessons or something. Try that. See how that works. Literally trying on clothes, taking them off like you do at the store until you find what works for you. You can't be afraid to do that. And I think a lot of women are afraid of disappointing others. Because we have that in us. We always want to care for others and please others. But there has to be a time where it's about you. And you have to kind of learn that balance too. So That's what I would definitely say. Journal. And
absolutely, yes.
things. Yeah, try on different activities, like you try on clothes until you figure out what is that thing that I'm looking for, but you won't know it until you get out there. And there's so many women that don't even know what they like and what they enjoy because they haven't tried. So
because they've been so busy pushing everybody else.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I think one of the things that I absolutely love about the book, because I am Chicago to the dirt, okay?
Yeah.
So when I'm reading through this book and I'm seeing all the Chicago references, I'm like, yes! And you're actually only the third like fiction novel that we've had on the author's tea. The first one was a book, The Naughty Wives Club by Kim Scott. Then we had Church Girls by Sheridan Davis, I think is her last name. And it's so funny because each one has gotten progressively juicier. Like a little further, it goes a little further to the left, to the right, should I say. And both you and Sheridan's book, because she's from Chicago as well, she had a lot of Chicago references in her book. And it just sparks a lot of nostalgia when you're reading a book and you're like, oh, I know where that is. Oh, I know what that means.
Exactly.
How important was it for you to include those elements in your book and represent Chicago?
Oh, that was extremely important on so many levels. First of all, because I'm a Chicagoan as well, born and raised South Side.
That's right.
And it's just, this is the thing. Chicago, I don't know what has happened over the years, but I don't know what media is doing to twist our city around, but it's not bad. It's like you could go somewhere, you can go to another state. I was in New York one time telling somebody I was from Chicago. They were scared of me. I'm like, look at me. Like, I'm not. I'm just out here kicking it, just like y'all, like, serious, So, I thought it was so important to just give that view, and the view was not like I was trying to force it down your throat, like Chicago is happening. It was just giving you like just Chicago-ness, like just in its glory, without it being this like taking over the story and making it seem like it was only about Chicago, because it wasn't. It was kind of just the backdrop. It was the background of what was going on. But I really wanted people to understand the culture, the music, the food. When I talk about summertime shy, like I want you to,
I want you to feel it. Like you're like, oh man, I got to get up there and see what this is about.
Right. And this is, like I said, I will always be connected to my hometown. I still live here. And I don't know, this is home. And I just felt like coming out the gate as a first-time author, people really needed to know what I was coming with. Like, I am representing my city.
I love it.
You know what? I'll branch off into other places and other books, but this first one had to be at home. So
at home. Yeah. I love it.
Yeah.
All right. So I know we've kind of danced around it, but I want you to tell us, give us the gist of Discovering Lita. If you were just kind of explaining it in a nutshell, what is Discovering Lita all about?
Okay. Discovering Lita is just mainly about a woman who has given a lot in her life to others. And that a lot of the situations that have come up in her life, some are within her control. A lot of it is not. Growing up as a child in the inner city, dealing with a lot of family issues, she kind of just stepped in as that older sister to kind of just, hold it down. But she, was able to rise above that. I guess you want to say pulled herself up by her bootstraps, and she met an incredible man who was very fond of who she was, the essence of who she was, which was a hard worker. And they created a life together when she was pretty young. But because of that, starting out pretty young and getting married and already having a child before she got married, there was a lot of things that she did not really learn about herself or even cultivate within herself. And as she's been married for a while, she starts to experience these feelings of kind of like, I'm not quite there yet. Like I'm doing all of this stuff. Every day I get up, I have all these things to do on my checklist, but I have not really found who I am. And somehow when she meets a man in a bookstore, he kind of sparks that, and he lights that fire in her, both personally and professionally. And that's where the discovery really starts, is with that guy. And that's what happens in the book. That's the gist of the book. And you will see from there a lot of issues being addressed, from family issues, family secrets, friendships, dealing with the breakdown of a friendship, the breakdown of a marriage, some other things that are maybe quite appropriate to some people.
But a lot of breaking down, okay? Continue that, breaking down. Right.
She was exploring herself on all levels, including sexuality. So she is definitely just going full throttle, and that's in a nutshell what Discover Lita is. It takes you on a ride, like from beginning to end. You will literally sit there and turn the pages. And I'm not just saying this because I wrote it. I am saying this because this is the feedback.
Yes, she is. So let me tell you, one of the times that I'm able to get a lot of reading in is at night when I'm like in the bed and maybe my husband has already gone to sleep. And so I would like literally be in the bed and I'm falling asleep, but I'm struggling like, no, I got to keep going. Oh my God. Cause I just got to see what's about to happen next. So she's not lying. It's definitely a page turner. I fully endorse that statement. Who did you write this book for?
Oh man, you know what? I wrote this book for every woman. I wrote this book for the woman that's lying to herself. I wrote this book for the woman that has been felt like oppressed, by male viewpoint or societal standards in terms of patriarchy. I wrote this book for all of the moms that are killing it in the game, whether you're single, married, single parent, household, whatever. I wrote that book for you. I wrote that book for that woman that is an entrepreneur or she's embarking on entrepreneurship. I wrote this book for just any woman that just wants to escape and get into that space and be like, thank you. Someone is speaking to me. So I really just wrote that book for pretty much every woman. But I will say that I really wanted to hone in on the experience of women of color, specifically Black women, because not to say that anything against anyone else, it's just that history proves that we have a whole different set of issues that we are still dealing with to this day. And it's very important that we can really kind of have something that resonates with us, speaks to us, and we can learn from. I know it's a fiction book, but it's funny what you can get out of a fiction book.
Yes. When I was reading, there was different things. I mean, even the dynamics of the sisters, where I was able to pull out. I'm like, oh, it kind of gave me a fresh perspective on even just my relationship with my sister, or just different things. And so you can have those aha moments, like you said, even with fictional pieces. Absolutely. I mean, just like when you're watching a movie, which brings me to my next question. Like, I always, anytime I read a fictional piece, I'm always like, somebody needs to put this on the big screen. Like, have you ever thought about that?
Oh, yes, definitely. And it's so funny that for some reason, anytime I'm being interviewed or asked about the book, that question comes up. And that's why I'm like, it's got to be confirmation. But when I was writing the book, I saw characters, in my head, literally. And I wasn't trying to. It just, they would come, which they would actually help me write better because I could see their faces. I could see them, interact. And so some of the actors and actresses, like I said, I don't know, one of these days they'll hear me out and, maybe say,
they're like, we got to do this.
Info. But when I think of Lita, I think of this actress, Tiana Paris. She was in the movie Chirac. She also played in Empire as Andre's love interest. She was a police officer.
Okay.
She almost is very reminiscent of Lita on the cover of the book. So
is she from Chicago?
No, she's not from Chicago. Okay. But she has like this just the look. Like she's like,
yeah, she does.
Kind of brown skin. She wears her hair natural. She wears the fro a lot. And so I was like, oh my God. And she's an amazing actress, by the way. Like, this is not just because of the way she looks. I really believe she could bring that character to life. I think she possesses the skill, the sensuality of Lita too.
Yeah, because she was very sensual in Chirac. Yeah,
definitely. I can definitely see her, playing that role. And Mike is Christian Keys to me. He's I'm trying to think. Is a show on BET?
Is that the light skinned guy?
Yeah.
You know, oh my goodness. So as I was reading the book, I imagined Mike as light skinned. I was like, this is some little light skinned smooth brother. I saw him in his suit.
Right.
And then Law, he was just like this tall, dark brother with this salt and pepper beard or something. I don't know.
Well, Law, you know, this is the thing. Like Mahershala, that's his name, Mahershala Ali. He won an Oscar this year. He was in a movie called Green Book, where he was really kind of the main focus, the character. But you know,
is that the same guy that played in Moonlight?
Yes, and and he also played in. Did you see? Who was the story about the rapper that was on Netflix? I'm just drawing a blank from the 80s. Roxanne.
Okay. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes, he was in there.
Boyfriend. So wait
a minute. So you have like literally casted your whole movie.
Yeah, I really, yes.
So look, you better just keep putting it out there. You better listen. This is the age of put myself on. You need to send a copy of your book to all those people you just named. Get behind, let's see, Will Packer Productions. I mean, Lena Way. It's so many people out here that you can like slide in the DM and say, this is what I need you to do.
Yeah.
So I'm rooting for you because I'll be like, yes. I had her on the author's tea. I know this book is amazing.
All right.
So with Lita, I know it's so many different levels to her, so many dimensions. Like, is there one part where you can say, I identify the most with her, or that's me?
Oh, let's see. I would probably say, okay, let me think. Oh, I can kind of relate to her relationship with Val and having the dynamic with a friend where, you know, you all are like almost like night and day, but you all just somehow vibe. Like it just works, you know? And I can honestly say that I have a few friends like that. And I can definitely relate to how people may view me without really knowing me. You know, like people that really know me, they don't even question certain things. But people that don't really know the core of me also may think that my life is a certain way. So I've experienced quite a few things in my life as well. I just don't look like what I've been through. And I think that's the big thing. But a lot of times when people don't know that about you, they can't help but to make judgments, you know? Absolutely. And so I really feel like I can relate to that standpoint of being seen a certain way with people that don't really know the real, you know, they may think like it's just all put together. It's like, okay, you know, and it's like, and it was easy. And she got out, you know, and then she's got this husband and she's got these kids. And just see like, oh, her life is so grand. And that's not true. It's not falling apart, but it's a work in progress. Like
I still have my struggles, you know.
Exactly. You know, and there's so many things that I have to constantly work on to keep myself, you know, going. And I embrace that. Like, I don't have a problem with that because I know that I'm not a perfect person. So I know that every day I'm having to work on that positive self-talk. I know there are times where I have to cry it out. You know, I used to be a little bit more guarded and not as vulnerable. That's something I had to learn over time. I have got to be able to share, and I've got to find that space that I can share comfortably. And that's something that took time. So like I said, a lot of times people don't see you from the beginning. They just see you from where they met you or whatever, and they don't know all of the things it took to get there. So a lot of things that I have to practice too to keep from doing certain things too, you know. So it's all a work in progress. So I can relate to that part of Lita, you know, feeling like you know, everyone just sees me as a certain person. They don't really know, you know, the real. And I can definitely relate to embarking on a new journey as far as entrepreneurship. I've been down that road too. That first time I'm like pumped, I'm excited, you know, and I want to do this, and trying to kind of have like this equilibrium in my home. Now all of a sudden I'm switching gears, and now my husband's like, "Yo," like, you know what I'm saying? That was
like,
part
say what?
right? So I can relate. And so yeah, most definitely, there's definitely some parts in there I can relate to. And there's, you know, just in all honesty, there's a lot of parts of Lita that I can also relate to, even prior to being married, you know, because I wasn't married my whole life. So I could definitely relate to meeting certain people and interacting with certain people and having those experiences too. So it's like nothing surprises me nowadays. So I like to put it all in the book because it's real life stuff people going through.
It is. And the more real and authentic it is, the better and easier it is for us as the readers to connect and grab hold to it and say, you know what, man, I can relate to this. I know somebody, even if it's not me, because there's even pieces of the story I'm like, yep, got a girlfriend just like that. You know, I've heard this before in our conversation. So that just makes it that much more authentic when you keep it that, you know, keep it real with us.
Yeah.
So one question that we love to ask all of the people who come down to the author's tea is, what is their favorite book, or not have to be a favorite, but a great book that they've read? Because we do believe the hashtag writers read, and you've already said you are an avid reader.
Yes,
so what's a book that pops into mind?
Oh, you know what? Hands down, I actually just finished reading a book by Bell Hooks like about a month ago. And I have it back here, like I have to, it's like my little wall. But this book by Bell Hooks, all about love. Like when I tell you, this right here is powerful because she talks about love in every aspect, like godly love and love between family members and friendships and relationships. And I mean, I feel like she really broke it down like to a science. And I was just like, this is amazing. And like, I think it's really good too, because like I said, I work with youth. So I'm working with high school students as far as social work. I feel like even things like, you know, learning how to communicate, emotional intelligence, like people don't teach this stuff. Like this should be regular, like things taught at home, curriculum in school, because it helps you to communicate better with people. It helps you to understand yourself more. It helps you to understand other people and to understand yourself in this big old world, you know. And I just felt like how she talked about it was so just open and just like honest. It talked a lot about vulnerability, where I feel like a lot of men can relate to this book as well, because she definitely spoke about, you know, how a lot of times men are not encouraged to open up, and we're not always as women aren't always as loving and understanding our approach when talking with men. It's not that we're handling them with kid gloves. It's just the simple fact that how they were raised, them as men biologically, they see the world a little differently than we do. And we have to come into that space with them so we'll understand how to approach them, you know. And that's her whole book. It's just the whole thing was love. And that's true love. True love is really trying to understand someone and connect with them and just meet them in the space that they are. So I was like, this right here.
That sounds amazing. You know, my husband literally just slid me. He found this. He's an educator as well. So he just found this Barnes and Noble gift card. I was like, I need to buy a book. You know, I was excited. I'm like, give it to me. I could buy a book. So look, I know what I'm buying next. So thank you.
No problem. No problem.
So how can we connect with you? How can we purchase Discovering Lita? Those of you who just popped in, this is the book, Discovering Lita. I always can never get in this brain. Discovering Lita. I love this cover with women that look like us. How can we get it?
Well, you can definitely purchase it on Amazon.com. Just, you know, type in the search Discovering Lita. It can also be found on the Barnes and Noble website online. And then if you just, for some reason, forget, just go right on Google, type it in, and it'll take you where you need to go so you can purchase the book. So it is available for $17.99 in paperback. Ebook, it's $2.99. So those are the options right now. And I have noticed that ebook sales, I mean, that's, you know, we live in 2019, so you have to be prepared
I'm just
but
not an ebook reader. I like to turn pages. I gotta touch it. I
I'm the
tried.
same
I was
way.
like, this is too much. I don't like all this scrolling. I want to touch the book. I like to make love to my book. Like,
I am the same way. I'm like, I know there has to be an option. And I've gotten a few people about audiobooks.
audio.
That. And I am so game for that. But I am a businesswoman first. So what ends up happening is we have to make sure these sales are good so that I can invest in doing the audio. That's a lot of work.
Yeah, and you would need a lot because with a book with dialogue, you have to have different people, doing all these voices. So yeah.
It costs.
Yeah, absolutely. And how can we connect with you?
Yeah, and I am on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter under Leisure Read. So it's my last name, LeeSureread. So it's Leisure, spelled with my last name, Leisure Read. And that's on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Yeah, and my website is angiedlee.com.
Wonderful. Well, listen, guys, those of you who are watching, because I know you tune in, and I know you have been saying all year that you want to write a book. As a matter of fact, you started at the top of the year and said you wanted to pen your book. So I keep bringing all these amazing women on, one, because I want you to hear their stories, but two, because I want you to be inspired and know that you can do this too. It's not as difficult. It is a hard task, but it's not as difficult as you're putting it in your mind to be. Like, all it takes is, as Angie said earlier, is to sit down and start writing. And you'll look up and eventually everything will have come together. So if you are stuck, I really want to help you. You guys know I run the Scribe Tribe. So I got the link in the caption, but come and join the Scribe Tribe. If you're having a hard time pushing your book out, it's bit.ly/the Scribe Tribe. And I can help you. My team can help you. We can help you push that book out. It is time for the world to hear your story, whether it's fiction, whether it's nonfiction, whatever it is, you have a voice and it's time to use it. So I want to work with you. All right. So with that being said, Angie, I appreciate you. I appreciate you for being patient and working through all the technical difficulties. But this conversation has been amazing. I think you are delightful. I wish you nothing but success. I'll be praying for this book to make it to the big screen, because I would love to see it there. I definitely think it has the potential to be there. So thank you so much for telling our story, because so many women who are represented in this book. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
No doubt.
All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in for another episode of The Author's Tea. I will be back here in 2 weeks, same time, same place. I believe our next guest up is Dominique McGee. She is author of Arise, the devotional for warrior wives. So we'll be chatting with her in 2 weeks. And until then, guys, stay blessed. I'm Kristen R. Harris, and I'm out. Bye.